Good evening. Welcome to Epiphany Lutheran Church in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Kevin Barger, the director of music here, and this is our Music Minute, where we're taking a look at the hymns we'll be using in worship tomorrow, which is the day of Pentecost. So a fun day musically for me. I really enjoy some of the Pentecost music. We're going to have a special edition today. We're going to have a fourth hymn played. This is the communion hymn, and we're going to start with that actually, and that is Spirit of Gentleness. And this was written in 1975 when the composer was a student at Claremont School of Theology. It covers the Spirit in about every fashion that you can possibly think of. So let's see, we cover blows, stirs, calls, frees, moves, coaxes, creates, awakes, sweeps, stings, goads, speaks, sings, cries, whispers, and breaks all forms of bondage. Those are all the things we saw in the hymn. So the melody comes from Honolulu, and I think this is a favorite that we all like to sing. Spirit of Gentleness. Very calming. You can feel the Spirit. Next is our hymn of the day, and this is O Spirit of Life. This is based on a chorale, O Heiliger Geist, and it's a German hymn from the 1600s. It had 6 stanzas, and it talks about remembering the Spirit's action and relationship to the Trinity. And it asks for an increase in faith, love, and light. The composer of the tune is actually unknown, although Bach actually wrote a very harmonization of this that everybody knows, and so often it gets attributed to Bach, but he really just wrote the harmonization. We don't know who originally came up with it. So this is O Heiliger Geist, or O Spirit of Life. That melody was very elongated. As we sing it tomorrow, it'll be more in the chorale fashion, so a little more standard meter. Okay, so we're going to flip to the piano for the last two. So the sending hymn is Gracious Spirit, Heed Our Pleading, and that goes back to 1965, so more like the Spirit of Gentleness that we did first. It was written after the evangelical churches in Tanzania united to form one Lutheran church. And the intention of its composer was to ask the Holy Spirit to make this young church grow as one family of God. God preached the gospel to the world, and that's what they wanted this church to be able to do ultimately. It's set to a melody from Uganda, and it's a typical East African call response fashion melody. So this is going to be Gracious Spirit, Heed Our Pleading. Not very long. It goes along at a pretty good clip. Last but not least, an old standard for Pentecost, O Day Full of Grace. And you may recall, first year of the pandemic, this was actually the virtual hymn that we did with about 1,000 people across the country, and it was quite moving. This is a hymn of Scandinavian origin and heritage. The text actually dates back to 1450, so it's very old. It has a great number of varied forms that have happened over the years, and it's appeared in many different hymnal versions throughout the years as well. So several alternate texts have been created, and we have some of those in ELW too. And it reminds us somewhat of the opening to Waket Auf, which is Wake Awake that we sing during Advent. So here is O Day Full of Grace. It's going to be variations on that. Oh, lots of fun. Hopefully you've learned something that you didn't know before, and we appreciate you joining us this evening for a little bit of music, a little bit of history, and a little bit of knowledge. If you're going to join us tomorrow in person, that would be at 8:30 or 10:30. And if you are live streaming online, that'll be live streamed at 10:30 on our YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining. We'll see you next week for Trinity Sunday.